Well, good afternoon. Maybe it's good morning where you are. We are live in Las Vegas at the TrickSupply Magic Shop. I'm Doug Kahn, and look who's here with me today. J. Scott Barry's in the house.
Dude.
Y'all, we have
everyone.
We have a show for you today. Master Magician J. Scott Barry in town in Las Vegas. Here to develop a new show, right?
Doggone it, we are putting on a show.
How exciting! How exciting is it to have done magic your entire life and then come to Las Vegas to produce a show? This is going to be the main part of our conversation today. What does it take to have that vision? What it takes to get the venue organized? You've got directors, you've got videographers, you've got co-stars. There's a lot going on with this experience. And
the upshot is it took me 45 years to become an overnight sensation in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's gonna be how old are you now? About 5 years still left to become an overnight.
That's my own running gag. I just I grew up in Reno, so the casinos were everywhere.
Yeah,
and we could sort of go down that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all this, your origin story. Let me say hi to everyone who takes the time to say hi to us. Good morning, Jim, or afternoon, if
checking everyone.
The case might
Thanks
be.
for joining us,
Adonis. Get to practicing. You remember Jay with the long hair? Did you cut it all off?
Yeah, I'm a chameleon. It's been I've had long hair like 3 times in my life, and it's just as I started this tour about 8 months ago, I sort of decided it was time to, reset.
We were talking before the stream. I remember you with 80s hair. Like you had the biggest hair.
Oh, man.
The exact opposite of my hair.
Yeah. It just takes more work,
Good morning to Tim. Guys.
Morning, everyone.
Hello. And we are about to rock and roll this thing. As we get going, I'm going to let y'all know we'll have some question time. If you have anything you'd like to learn from a master magician, this is your chance to do so. But let's get started. For those of you that might not be aware of who J. Scott Barry is, let's hear a little bit about your origin story. Like what made J. Scott Barry who he is today?
Well, doggone it. Let's go back to when I was 3 years old. Yeah, it goes back that far.
So
my mother threw me into a tap dance and singing class. It's just a child, it's a toddler thing. And my most vivid memory of that being sort of before 5 was when we were preparing for the recital. I vaguely remember the dance classes, but it was that moment I realized, there's a date on the calendar. We're having a show. It was a recital.
Okay.
And then counting down. And just this whole, it's like instinctive now. I remember that there was a deadline. We had to rehearse, but then we started rehearsing more intensely. And then there was the photo shoot. Because, we did, and I was all, wow, I'm in costume. First time I was ever like in a proper, dressed me up. And then showtime. And I just jumped on stage and I'm singing and dancing and the audience is smiling and laughing. And that was it. I was from here on in, I was not only hooked, but that was the stage became my happy space. Something about that transformational moment that I realized that I'm on stage, I'm having fun.
Yep.
I'm entertaining the audience. Whatever happens on the playground at school, whatever the kids' problems are, stressing, that became total happy space.
So how does the magic start from there? You're a tap dancing magician, or
right?
what's going on?
Well, dance has been an integral part. That sort of set the stage, literally.
Curious, are you still active in dance? Is this something that's part of your world?
Not in the sense that I don't take dance classes currently. Anyone who knows dance and choreography can see my movements on stage, and they'll go, "Oh, you've had dance training."
And I've seen some wonderful magicians who've had dance training, and it makes a big difference. Like a lot of times magicians just gloss over any kind of stage work in general, much less dance or so on.
Yeah. You don't have to dance to make choreography and movement important. In other words, look, I don't break into a tap dance number in any of my shows, and you won't see that in the Vegas show.
Right.
But movement training and posturing and just confidence of stepping and understanding blocking on a stage. These are integral parts of, I think, stage performance specifically.
Yep.
Yeah.
So okay. So how do you get into this magic? As you talk about it, I'm going to go poke around your website here.
All right. Good.
So,
all right. So that really was the starting point. And my mother gave me a magic kit when I was 5 years old. It
Yeah.
literally just like 2 Czech cereal box tops and probably 10 cents or whatever it was. But that was my first introduction to magic. And I was fascinated. I absolutely thought this was the coolest thing. So I attempted to learn all these odd effects and cups
Yeah.
and balls and coin
The little
slide
plastic.
and
This
little
is a
audible-
familiar story. A lot of it had the kit.
Right. It was all Adams type stuff.
Yeah.
But I followed through. I gave a performance, my very first magic show. To me, it wasn't just play. I thought, well, I want to give
You were a veteran by far.
doggone it, that's right. And so I gave my first show for the nursery school class. Literally, I had been 2 years in a child development nursery school. And by the time I was in kindergarten, well, I was alumni of that class, so I could go back and show them a thing or two. So yeah, the first show was for a bunch of literally. It was a bunch of.
You remember the tricks you were doing? Like, what was your closer?
Oh boy, I did the that little plastic laudable. I did the coin slide, just real straightforward. The cups and balls. There was the little thing you sort of rattled. It was a spinner, and you used the wooden stick it spun.
I call that the hooey stick.
Yeah, and the imp bottle. It was actually classic effects that have been in so many magic kits.
Mm-hmm.
But that set in motion that every time there was a school play, every time any sort of, Christmas plays and others, the teachers knew, number one, that I'd be the first with my hand up, but they knew I was bomb-proof on stage.
Right.
Which wasn't, a lot of kids freaked out, and at the moment to get on stage, they would freak and lose it.
They need to have a rock solid star.
Right. Yeah. So, and I was fearless from that point on. So I got all these lead roles in very minimal. These are just.
So you were a theater kid through school.
That's right.
All right. Was magic an active part of this during your?
Yes.
You were always performing magic.
Yeah. So magic became part of basically growing up. I got brought into my first professional theatrical production when I was 7. I played the young boy in the 7-Year Itch.
Okay, and this would be a professional production.
We'll call it semi-pro. Yeah, local. It was the Reno Theater Players Company,
right.
But it was the first. Again, another real stepping point because it was the first time I was on a proper stage. There's a director. There's lighting directors. There's dressing rooms. There's rehearsals, counting down the whole construct. Opening night,
all of the things that leave out as a magician. We're going to talk more about this. Get y'all.
But by 7 years old, I was immersed in theater, and then I was in. I played cello in a youth orchestra, and I sang in a boys' choir, and it was all right up into junior high and high school. I was singing in musicals, and again, anything that came up, I took it on. So that's a real brief origin story, but it set the motion for. Go ahead.
Let me get, because I don't know where I was on your website that said you were the youngest magician to perform at the Magic Castle. Right? How old you were? You had to be 18 or not?
Yeah. Okay. So if we'll keep this in a continuity of story.
Okay.
So I was actively performing by the early teens. I was doing magic shows in Reno. The birthday parties. It was just my mother would take me out to drive me to and I would do a $15 show. My big price was 20. If I could get $20, that's
when you brought the rabbit or the gerbil.
Right.
I know exactly. The skit, man. I'm semi-pro.
Isn't that funny? That's exactly it. Well, you get the rabbit for 20.
That's right. Get that extra $5. Which back in the 80s is worth like $8.
I mean, I was just fearless. I just got myself some business cards and started posting them everywhere. And so by the time basically up until 16, I was just active with all these different things. And I looked again, Reno, Nevada. So it's an entertainment town, casino town. Every Friday,
looking forward to going there.
Every Friday they've got their entertainment. What's on this weekend? All right. So here's this key moment. Because I found, look, right in this nice corner ad of this magazine, it says the great Tom Sony and Company performing. And there was a photo of him and everything. And I'm just like, a magician. Now, understand, there was no magic clubs. I was totally creating in a vacuum.
Okay.
I knew nothing about magic conventions.
Interesting.
There was the Magic magazine had just come out. That came out.
So
in the
you evolved in a
mid-70s,
bubble, in
Right.
a sense. Okay.
which partly is why I've always created outside the
Yeah.
box. I didn't
I
have
like it.
someone saying you have to do it
Yeah.
this
In
way.
some respects, that's beneficial, not being influenced by, other magicians'
Yeah.
opinions of what magic
Yeah.
should be.
So I had the chutzpah to simply pick up the phone, call backstage at the John Esquaga's Nugget, the big casino
Yeah,
in town,
I
and say,
love
I want to
this.
talk to the great Tom Sony.
Yes.
Literally. I mean, I cannot believe, to this day, I can't believe
Yeah.
I just had the sheer chutzpah to do this.
So did he answer?
He answered, and again,
Okay.
all these things, if I took, you always look back, and if you connect the dots and you take one key piece out of your origin story, if Johnny Thompson had not answered the phone, or he had just told me to bugger off, get lost, kid, I would never have.
And it could have been a number of magicians in that spot you tried to call, but you reached one of the greatest masters to ever live.
I didn't exactly. I had
Yeah.
no idea. All right, so he goes, oh, that's. I said, I'm a magician. I want to come to your show or
Yeah.
whatever it was.
Right.
So he was very gracious. He says,
So
oh,
good.
that's fine. We had a very brief talk, and he said, can you come down tomorrow backstage?
Okay.
So here's where it goes.
Well, let's go.
He welcomed me backstage. The following day, I drove down with my girlfriend, and he welcomed me into the dressing room, talked to me. We sat there. Well, what are your dreams? What do you want to do? Tell me about. We talked doves. He was interested that I was already performing with doves. It was just incredibly being embraced by. Again, I didn't realize his stature.
Right.
He was a wonderful, amazing guy. So comes down to showtime, and I was all excited to see the show. And he goes, "Oh no, sorry, it's only under. You can't go in the main show."
He wasn't old enough. You weren't old enough to be in the.
So my heart sank for a moment, but he said, "Got you covered." It was like he set me up, and then he goes, "No."
Yeah.
He says, "Follow me." We went up into the spotlight booth.
Wow.
He had 2 seats.
That's so cool.
Waiting for myself and my girlfriend in the spotlight booth. So I got to see, first time ever saw a professional magic show live. And not only that, Anthony Newley, he was opening for Anthony Newley, with one of the great singers. And so both of those, to me, was just blew my mind.
You're getting the full,
I got
the full theater experience.
And Johnny and Pam did their full 25-30 minute act beyond the dove act. It was, and that set in motion a friendship, a lifelong friendship with Johnny Thompson. And I began to understand that this guy isn't just an average magician.
No, literally the total package.
And he was the one who directed me. He said, look, if you want to pursue this dream, you've got to get to Los Angeles, Hollywood. There's this place called the Magic Castle. They've got a junior member group. He basically said, you're not going to get into a casino without doing this. This is your route.
You got to have some recognition.
The agents are all booking for exactly.
So where were you? Were you on the West Coast? You were in Reno.
I grew up in Reno.
And then you decide you need to be in LA now.
At the age of 17, I moved down to Hollywood.
Love it.
Got a job working at Hollywood Magic.
Come on now.
On my 18th birthday.
I tell y'all, one of the best ways to learn magic at a young age is to get behind the magic counters.
That's right.
Shamefully, we don't have the opportunities like we used to have. But I'm telling you, if you care a lot about magic and want to grow, find a magic counter to get behind.
It's the closest thing you'll ever get to a college of magic.
Right.
I mean, immersing not only in the effects, but performing and getting regular. So, and in this case, Hollywood Magic was this mecca.
Right.
Everyone who was anyone, all the great magicians.
Are they still open? I don't think so.
They closed most of the great shops. Brick and mortar shops.
But that's
it was in their heyday.
Legendary spot.
Absolutely. So that was the starting kind of set in motion, because then I went from having no immersion at all in magic to being absolutely the ultimate at working 5-6 days a week.
You go to LA, you're in the juniors program. Is that what it was?
Right.
Yep.
So this is it. Jules Lanier. I mean, I could sit and list dozens and dozens of names, but Jules Lanier and I, he was hanging out at the shop every day.
Yeah.
And he was the one who really twisted my arm to join at that point.
Okay.
You know, I was always like, well, I don't like joining groups that have me as a member. Kind of, I'm a rebel. I really, I've always been like.
I've never had an IBM card or any, but I've been to thousands of Magic meetings.
Yeah,
Just,
but he said he really kept hammering me. He says, you have to go. You have to join this. Trust me. And so I auditioned. And so that was this key point. Peter Pitt, Diana Zimmerman, a number of the others were at the audition. And they were so impressed. They were immediately said, oh my gosh, this is good enough to be on the main stage. And of course, I got into the junior group. There was some very incredibly talented group at that time. But they went to the board of directors. They actually proposed to the board of directors to change the rule. Up until then, you could not perform a week at the castle unless you were over 21. It was an ironclad rule.
21.
You had to be 21. And so they petitioned the board of directors, and Bill Larson was there, and all of them were there. And it basically, as board of directors go, it probably won by one vote. I think that, usually half of were supporting the idea, half weren't. But within 6 months, I was performing on stage at the Magic Castle. So cool. And so that's the answer today. I was the youngest magician ever to perform a week. They broke the 21 rule for me. But perhaps more important is it opened the floodgates for all these other great.
It did what Johnny said it would do.
Exactly. For all these other, for the other magicians. For all these other talented, the Mark Kalins, the Dirk Arthurs, all of the Kevin James.
Oh, I see. I have the younger, all those Mazda Mystics and all.
Well, we were all the junior men. We were this golden era of the juniors. Lorenzo Clark, who's still my close. We'll come back to that.
Right.
We were the coolest kids in town, but up until that moment, we could not perform on the main stage. So as soon as that 21 rule broke, and I got on the main stage. The next, Dirk Arthur was on there 2 months later, and then Kevin James, and then the close-up artists were able to come in. So it really became this.
They do a great job. We were talking about one of the problems with Magic today is the lack of involvement with the youth and developing with clubs or even organizations. Like the Magic Castle does a great job of it. We have some locals here that travel. Hey, Winston, what's up? I'm talking to you. He travels here.
Winston, is he on?
Winston Pannier. He's probably out busking. He's
I know Winston. I met him when I lectured I lectured for the junior group just this last March.
Oh, okay. Well, then, man, I love Winston a million. But he's a good example. He travels out, participates in that junior program, and gets those reps on the Magic Castle stage.
I got to see him perform, and I got to say, look, I can help you, buddy. And you don't reach out to someone unless they've got the potential. Right. If you see someone who's serious, there's like a responsibility.
Well, he's got it. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
So that set in motion that I was able to roll with the Magic Castle. I was performing there from 19 onward. I was doing regular gigs.
Was that kind of your hub? LA, you were there,
right? Because I was working at the Magic Shop did 3 years, almost 3 years at the Hollywood Magic.
I had no idea that was part of your skit. Love it.
Yeah. So, and again, if it were not for the Magic Shop, so much of my skill set that was just part of the
in the modern age. I guess students have access to a little more information, but 20, 30 years ago, if you really wanted to learn the ins and outs of the arts, work in a shop. I'm working a shop that's visited by local pros on a regular basis, because then you get to absorb their knowledge as well.
And then the Magic Castle decided, Peter Pitt pushed this because he was from Europe and he was very aware of the FISM. So at that time, it wasn't as big of a deal in the U.S. It was very much a European, So Peter Pitt sort of was mentoring me to some degree as part of all this. He was the one who booked the castle, so he was, watching my act and really aware. And he had this idea. He says, "Let's get the Magic Castle to sponsor you to go to FISM in '82." Okay. So this was the Lausanne FISM.
Is that something they do regularly?
Never, as far as I know. They broke all the. There's like this guy's kid. I was, the young hot talent and it was a style of magic that was very fresh and original. I had fog and fire.
Yeah, right. Like you were one of the first to do like a smoke from hand, right?
That's right. I developed the entire dry ice from hand effects.
Yeah. So the original was a dry ice method.
I created dry. Yeah, I
smoke,
literally had.
And also, lights from hands,
That's
right?
right. Yeah,
Did
lights, and I was throwing balls of fire and flash pots on stage, but it wasn't just that. I had some real high-end manipulation,
Sure.
and that's why Peter Pitt saw this. Not only it's a very fresh look, but
Yeah.
you will be judged on technical skill,
Yeah.
creativity. You know, he
Right.
understood the criteria. You're not
Right.
just going to go on and be flashy Vegasy. And when
You got to appease the judges.
You have
That's
to,
how
right.
you win the contest. Did you win a prize? at
Well, I
FISM?
took a silver medal,
silver medal.
and
What was your category?
General Magic.
General Magic.
And
That's impressive.
oh yeah,
That's really impressive.
and it literally it was like, you know, 1/10 of a point. If my dove hadn't have flown away, it would have been, you know.
Yeah.
But the most important thing about that is there were a number of major players in Europe. Christian Fechner, who was a former Grand Prix winner, and others who said flat out, they stated flat out that I should have won the Grand Prix.
Wow.
They were very adamant. You know, there's always controversy.
Sure, there is.
Anytime there's and he said and Lance took the Grand Prix that year.
Oh, well.
And the point was
That's
they were
some tough competition.
well, I mean, dear friends. Again,
Yeah.
I never saw him as
Lance is the GOAT, though.
Right.
So
but
that's a good second. That's a good second
the
place.
key dynamics, right? The key dynamics were it was the controversy because a lot of magicians, and it wasn't anything against Lance.
Yeah.
They were saying, look, Lance, we've seen all this.
Super
it's
classic.
beautiful,
Right. It's
total.
yeah.
It's
Right.
Channing Pollock. It's Sylvan.
Yeah.
It's all.
Yeah.
And so for
I could see that.
Christian Fechner was a creator inventor. He saw what I did as completely.
And he says, let's promote the
he
new
thought-
pushing the art in a new direction.
So it was a
and-
whole bunch of magicians who were following the idea that, quote, I should have won the Grand Prix. And a lot of this happened without me even knowing it.
Yeah.
I had flown back to Los
Okay.
Angeles.
Yeah.
So it built up this momentum.
Right. There was no
and-
internet news groups for everyone to complain about.
Right.
You had to get
But by the following year,
mail.
right. So by the following year, literally, I got a phone call from Richard Ross, who was another one of my absolute, a living legend.
Some of the most beautiful
literally,
magic.
I pick up, oh, this is Richard Ross. I'm going, yeah, right. Who's fucking, who's messing with me?
Yeah.
And he goes, no, I want you to come headline my Dutch convention.
Yeah.
So I went from
Yeah.
in Los Angeles
To international traveling.
and it wasn't just, it was like, I want you as my headliner on this convention. So I went from being obscurity in Europe the year before, no one knew me. The FISM was that set all in motion.
So
and from there I flew to this would have been 1984. I did the It's Magic show. All right, let me back up. From the FISM, Milt Larson booked me on the It's Magic show, and there's actually a really good tape on that.
A yearly production the Magic Castle did. Was it coinciding with the award show or
totally separate?
So
but it was at the Variety Arts Theater at the time.
Yeah.
And there's actually on my YouTube channel there's a recording. It's the best recording of that FISM act that we've got. It's not super high quality, but the Magic Castle and they recorded that It's Magic show. So that you can go and look at. You'll see the act, fire, fog, lights, the original, the origin of the lights. I Claire Miracle or something.
what? What was the name of it?
Well, a Miracle Flash, the initial version of it.
Okay.
But that was where, from that, that gave me much more recognition theatrically in Los Angeles, that specific 2-week run. And
I posted some links in the video. I didn't put your YouTube there, but
there you go. Yeah, drop the YouTube.
Could skedaddle over to
1 minute. There we go. Live at the Magic. No, it's one of these in the Magic videos.
I'm gonna let the viewer go find it because sometimes I get hiccups when
if you look at the JSB Magic videos, you got some current stuff, but also specifically the It's Magic show with the venerable Carol Fox introducing me, which is just
nice.
He was like
you got a lot going on this channel.
Yeah, lots of crazy things I've done over the years.
Don't go follow J. Scott Perry on YouTube. Go absorb some of those videos.
Yeah, some good stuff in there. So yeah, the sort of that launched my career in Europe. So what happened is by 1984, I moved to Europe. So from the initial FISM competition. By 1985, I was on major TV productions and major gala shows in Europe. And then I headlined the FISM in Madrid. It was myself, Pendragon, Jeff McBride, with the 3 headline acts on the stage show. We each closed each successive stage show. So, that was it. By that point, I'd really arrived. Not a lot of interest in the U.S., but my name recognition became.
I mean, on some levels, that's fine then. Just spend your time in Europe.
It was funny because Diana Zimmerman predicted it. When when I was in the junior group, I remember very vividly, she says, your act would go over so well in Europe.
Yeah.
They really appreciate the art of magic. And I was like, really? Oh, yeah, that's
so
interesting.
let's segue just a little bit. I keep these things at about 45 minutes. We got about 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah. You get me yapping away on
we could
origin
talk
story
about your world travels, and you continually do that. You just came back from France.
Yeah,
right?
just came back from a European tour.
Yeah, you were
53 shows and lectures.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, it's what we do. Showbiz.
And now you're in Las Vegas. You've been doing the show on the road, but you're here to. Well, what are you doing in Las Vegas at the end of this month?
Right, this is advanced promotion and planning and pre-production for my very first Las Vegas show, and it'll be opens on July 31st in the Ahern showroom. So the Ahern Hotel is at the North Strip, 1 block. It's on Sahara. It's on Sahara. I always want to say Sunset. It's on Sahara, just 1 block off the Strip. So right between, very easy access, beautiful hotel, a very classic. It's not a casino, so it's non-smoking, easy, free easy parking. From the parking, it's not a mile to the showroom. And if you understand Vegas, you know what I'm talking about. You literally walk.
You're like, there it is. I'll just walk there, and then you.
But even once you've landed, they force you to walk through all the casino, and this is completely different. Which is one of the reasons why I love this hotel. It's not an accidental thing that I decided to put the show here.
And this hotel has been home to some magic before you've arrived, if I'm not mistaken. Lorenzo Clark.
There we come full circle. See, Lorenzo, there we go. We've been lifelong friends. We've performed on stage at Blackpool Magic Convention. His career went off more into cruise ships.
Yeah.
Mine went more into European and world traveling. But we've always re-met. We performed together at the Magic Castle in the early 2000s. And we kept reconnecting. So when I was planning this tour, this new Excelsior tour, I reached out to him because he had been cultivating this room and the Ahern showroom and the relationship with Ryan Ahern and the hotel.
I see.
And so we did basically scheduled and booked a series of close-up performances, a lecture, and one stage gala in mid-April.
Yes.
So that was where I connected and met a handful of other magicians. J.R. Smith, a local magician.
Oh, yeah.
He's great. He's great.
Ago, yeah.
He was on, but
Stacy,
specifically Stacy, because I brought her in as my guest star. Stacy Stardust.
Stacy Stardust, the most energy of any individual in Las Vegas. We love her every time she's in the room.
She's amazing.
I was going to invite her here, but quite frankly, she would have outshone both of us. So
we'll get her on another time.
Yeah.
Get her in.
Stacy, come see me, and we'll talk about just you.
Well, the show. I mean,
Oh, that too. You come talk about
the point being, right. So from that, 2 really important things happened out of that initial week. I was able to connect with the hotel. They saw my style, elegant, sophisticated. Ryan Ahern specifically said this is perfectly suited to our.
Okay.
It's a luxury hotel.
Yeah, right.
And he loved that.
Yeah.
The Saturday night full standing ovation.
Let's go.
Full. I mean, the response was great.
What's the room like? What is the?
It's a great. They call it a showroom.
Yeah.
Fair enough. It's an intimate showroom by my standards.
Yeah.
I would call it more of a cabaret.
Okay.
Because it's tables. It's tables and 120 seats. I mean, there's seats in the back.
Yeah.
And nice little bar to one side.
Size, actually.
To me, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no accident why this is the room I've decided to put this show up in.
I've seen some wonderful shows in intimate venues, and I feel in a modern era, like that's maybe even as big as you'd want it to be. I mean, it can be bigger, but there's so much great energy that can be created in a more intimate environment. So
I prefer that, and it
Mhm.
plays to my style.
Yeah.
I'm very much based. Everything is skill set based upon prestidigitation.
So we're not going to see the zigzag
No,
or
nothing.
the blammo.
In fact, 80% of the effects that I perform
Yeah.
are original. They've never been
Nice.
done by anyone.
Ooh.
They rare and few are performed because I've lectured and taught them, but very likely no one will ever do some of these effects. It's just like any you know, it just so it's all designed. I mean, most of anyone who knows my material, that's what I'm trying to get to. Those fans and they've
Here's
seen
a guy who knows. Chubster, what's up,
Chubster.
I'm still using Jay's Vortex.
There you go.
Part of my opening.
Precisely.
What is Vortex?
The Vortex Streamer production is the just beautiful empty hand show, and you produce a rainbow streamer.
Yeah, all right.
So I mean, over the years, I've developed gimmicks, methods for the magicians. They know I've mastered, like one of the masters of the toppet, double toppets. And, the best thing I ever learned is to never stop learning. Meaning I'm not resting on my past laurels.
That is some great advice.
It's
when you stop learning magic, you stop being good.
You stop growing. You stop creating.
If you
Channing, another one of my mentors, Channing kept driving that idea home. Say, do not plateau.
Because you're never done.
Don't
If you think you're done, you're wrong.
Right. Yeah.
You're wrong.
So I premiered a new stage act, all new stage act at the Magic Castle the first week of April. Then the following week, literally directly into the close-up gallery, a brand new close-up act. So that was all, you take a risk. Come on, you throw out all the old stuff and a completely new material. But that's what I brought to the Las Vegas showroom.
Which is, look who's in the chat here, John Kippen. I just highlighted his.
Hey, John.
He's in your world.
He's the man.
He said brand new show.
Yeah, brand new. So that became what now is the core structure of the show we're developing. So I can do a best of.
What's up, John Kippen?
John Kippen. I can do a best of a lot of my classic reworked for this show because everything gets readjusted to fit, but also stuff that basically no magicians have seen unless they saw the show at the Magic Castle.
Love that.
So a lot of fresh
I'm super
stuff.
excited to see it, and I will be there. Opening night is my plan. Let me take a look at these dates you got going on so we can inform people when it starts. First one to the end of July.
Yep, 31st. So if you're going to Magic Live, I mean, that was I very deliberately put these initial dates the weekend before and right after, directly after Magic Live.
So through August 9th is what I'm seeing.
We're doing
on this
6
calendar.
runs of this initial production. And with the idea that I'll bring it back, based upon how well it's received, we'll bring it back probably in September. I've got 2 weeks open still in October that I've earmarked, and this builds the momentum. If we get the momentum and enough ticket sales, we'll go for a residency as of the first of the year. So that's the bigger plan. We're warming it up, connecting, making contacts. But I'm basically ready to shift into being the Las Vegas,
Let's go. How exciting is that?
I really, again, it seems full circle. I grew up in Reno. I always came to Vegas as a kid, got many times. And
I know this mindset. That's why I'm here too.
Yeah, I feel like really, okay, it's time.
Yeah, because, when is it going to be time if not now? Right?
So, well, I mean, I've got other options. I could go onto cruise ships. I could go, for the fall, I expect to be touring somewhere in the world for the next 5 years or more.
We got an invite from Chubster to come back to Manila for another lecture.
We'd love to. I'm not lecturing other than with shows. I mean, I'm not doing lecture tours. But I know with Chubster, last time I was there in Manila, we did a weekend event, a gala show, and essentially a convention. So for festivals and conventions, I'll drop a lecture in as well.
Got it.
But I've sort of done the long extended lecture tours at this point. I won't be doing those.
Yeah,
that's end of an era. I've done about 1,000 of them. I'm kind of I want to
get it.
I absolutely.
Showtime
it's time to focus on performances, and that's why I'm here.
So I wanted to mention, like, if anyone is interested in going to the show, and you should be, that we do have a promo code available for this. What's the promo code?
Enter the promo code JSB25.
JSB25. I did put this information.
And look at that. Apply. And look at that.
Yeah.
It drops it.
Bang.
Right.
Save 25%.
And
right
look,
away.
and if you know Las Vegas, that total right there, you pay that in parking at most
Does the
venues.
Ahern have free parking?
Free parking. Yeah, I've been out to see, I've been comped, or I've paid for a few shows this week. I tell you what, the parking in Las Vegas is as expensive as the show.
No, you don't got to tell me. When I say I want to go to see a show, now I got to, it's not just parking. If you want to drink,
you have to calculate easily $50 in additional expenses.
Just the Vegas tax.
That drops, that gives it to a very reasonable full show. There's a pre-show. We have strolling magic. So you get there doors open an hour early. The party is underway. Essentially, you walk into a mystical cabaret party setting, and the strolling magic is underway. Grab a drink, chill out. 10 minutes before, Stacy will be out doing strolling. I'll be out doing strolling. We'll have guest performers also, Mickey Silver and other. We're drawing in some local top strolling talent.
Love it.
So hopefully by the time the show starts, you've had your hors d'oeuvres.
Yeah.
It's my thought as a producer. I wanted it. You don't just sit around going ho-hum for half an hour. You got strolling, magic stuff's happening. And then the show itself, 75 minutes. I will do 60 to 65 minutes of that. Stacy will do 10 to 15 minutes, probably 3 to 4 points within. Basically, I'll get off stage, reset, get everyone to see something, beautiful girl on stage. And after, you can only watch me for so long. And we've got a dynamic basically going between us where she can.
I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the other people that are involved in this show. John Kippen's name came up earlier. What is John's role in this development?
Right. Well, John and I, to briefly, we've developed a very solid friendship and trust over the last couple of years, initially by distance, by Zoom.
Yeah.
And so I brought him in as director of the show. Director. Well, titles are sort of meaning we're brainstorming.
You have a team.
I've put together
a team that is
right, and it is a production team where we've got the legendary Bob Fitch.
And now there's a name I definitely want to hear a little bit about. We've talked about Lorenzo. We've talked about
Lorenzo is the producer of the show. So in terms of credits, Lorenzo and. Yeah, we don't need to go too far down that, but longtime friend. He's got the connection. He's the go-between to the theater. Plus, he and I just have.
And he understands Vegas and what makes things
rock solid friendship, agreements on a handshake. That to me is how I roll.
Yeah.
And Lorenzo and I were just quick chat, boom. We're good. We understand where we're going with this. So he'll be there for the show as the sort of impresario, meet and greet. The moment you walk, he will be there to meet and greet. He may do some strolling magic, whatever, but he's in, he'll be out and about in the house for the shows.
Cool.
And then we've got the after party because the show itself, we don't have to leave. There's no shows after us. So everyone who's involved, who's there, come out, have a drink, take some photos, have a chat.
Now let's talk just a little bit more about Bob Fitch, because you glossed this. We haven't spend a lot of time on Bob, and just in general, I want to note how important it is to get other people involved when you're doing a professional production like this. I think a lot of times magicians assume they can do the whole ball of wax. They've done their act 100 times and they know how to do it. I'm just going to go do it in Las Vegas and be a star. Right. That's not going to happen if you don't have a director or a producer. Or, yesterday you were posting pictures from your photo shoot. You've got professional videographers involved, and if you want to do it right, this is the level it comes to.
Right.
Bob Fitch is about as high as the level as it can get. He is an Emmy award-winning director. Is that correct?
Emmy award-winning performer. He was he originated some of the classic roles on Broadway. We all from Annie, the musical Annie.
Oh yeah.
He played Rooster, and he set the standard for that role. And boy, you see pictures of him with Carol Channing and pictures with just all these phenomenal greats who he's worked with. But he's also been a very active magician. He's been a very active magic teacher. He's extraordinary, I'll call it Imagineer, illusioneer. He understands magic.
Nothing
He understands.
short of legendary. I don't know if a
wouldn't-
lot of magicians know his name, but if you're in the know, you probably do, because Bob has been hands-on with some of the great acts over the
Absolutely.
last 3 or 4 decades.
Absolutely. All the way up to consulting with David Copperfields. And
Yeah,
I mean,
we
you're
got-
all across the board from
Legendary.
absolute legend.
If you don't know Bob Fitch's name, you might want to educate yourself.
Yes. So when John Kippen and I were first discussing this a few months ago, we said, let's get Bob.
Yeah, all right.
That was like a no question.
Okay.
And I've known Bob for years. And what's funny is about a year ago, he and I were kind of lamenting that we never had a chance to work on a show together.
Yeah.
So that this now is just this absolute icing on the cake for both of us.
Yeah.
To finally get to be in a creative space. We've done half a dozen Zoom sessions while I was on tour in Europe, where John Kippen, myself, and Bob Fitch, we started total brainstorming. Lay out, how do we produce, what's the feel, what's the flow, what's a script, here's a routine without a script yet, how, and boy, to watch Bob kick in. I just love this moment where he sits and he just stays very quiet. John and I will be bantering back and forth. And then sort of Bob will go, oh, what about this? Or he'll just, and of course, he just launches into this. He pours out this spontaneous flow.
A little bit jealous. Right
Oh
now.
my God. I hope we're recording this. And John knows what I'm saying. A handful of times, it just absolute gems, like opening a treasure chest of thoughts and ideas, and then he starts acting the part.
Right.
He gets into the role of me.
Not only can he see it, he can show you it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where
So you're here now. You'll be going to LA, I guess. You're in Vegas today doing some stuff, but you're going to do some theatrical sessions with Bob and John.
We're going into 2 weeks. Exactly. I've been here.
Rehearsals
Been here for a
rehearsals,
week
that's
of
what it is.
pre-production. I'll be back in Los Angeles on Monday, and we go into 2 weeks of full rehearsals.
Yeah.
There's a Magic Castle Junior meeting on July 22nd, a 50th anniversary at the
Okay.
Magic Castle. So lots of juniors will be there.
Oh, that
I'll
sounds
be
like
in
a
town
good
for
time.
that.
Right.
So basically going into full production, pre-production, planning, rehearsal.
Man, I kind of want to be in LA on the 22nd now.
And then I will land, I'll land back here in Las Vegas. Actually, I'll be here on the 26th I'll fly quickly back and forth for a big local entertainment radio show.
Okay.
It's like the top radio.
I see.
So I'm
Getting all the promo
You
in
gotta
and
do it.
getting it working.
Well, this kind of full circle to your question is, look, I've produced a lot of things. I've produced festivals. I've produced dozens and dozens of gala shows.
Mhm.
So extensive experience. But even with that, I would not presume to put on a show here without a top team.
Yeah.
So that again, come right back to that idea. Is immediately I said, I want the entire team of people. And you mentioned the photographer, Ty Hart, Hardt. He's relatively new in town. I connected with him in April. Extraordinary background. He's a magic enthusiast, but he has a full background in photography, videography, award-winning film director, and he's now in town. And so I immediately drew into him. He did he's doing a series of short documentaries on magicians. Top magicians.
cool.
And the very first one he just released, which he and I did together over the last few months.
Where would we see this?
Oh, well, there's a connection right on my Facebook channel.
Okay.
Right on my Facebook page to that. It's a
So find Jay on Facebook and look
connect
for
with me on
Ty
Facebook.
Hart.
Oh, yeah, message me on Facebook. Because he's not only we're from the film, we did a pre-shoot, essentially a photo shoot with Stacy and myself yesterday. But but it's all, we're planning on documenting the entire production process up to and including the performances,
Nice.
and then finishing it off as an edited, rather Hulu, Netflix,
So you got
Amazon
you get
Prime
to see
production.
this thing come to life,
Yes.
and then see it happen.
Yeah.
And
So Ty is on board as to
okay.
oversee all
So
of
there's
that.
more happening than just the show.
Right.
I
We're
love it.
absolutely filming even if it's simply for posterity.
Yeah.
You know, there's, you never know when you get a finished product, who's going to buy it.
Right.
But it will certainly be available to view. So if you're not able to make it to the show, we'll have the full.
What a time to be alive. I see a few magicians doing that. Nick DeFont was in the shop the other day and said he's got one in the can ready to be on. And he
Greg
was out.
Gleason shooting his own TV special.
Can't wait to see Greg's show.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy. I can't wait to get Greg in this chair and talk about his life.
Oh, we should. He's a local. He's here local.
I'll wrangle him up, but he's so busy. He's always out there.
Well, Ty will Ty will be doing interviews with any of sort of the local magician top, you know, he's looking for obviously the top tier magicians, but he'll be doing one with Greg, he'll be doing one with Alan Ackerman. Any magicians of sort of, I hate to say that caliber, who are coming.
Ty, good to see you. Thanks for popping in.
Is Ty here? Oh, we're talking about, dude, Ty is the man. He's an absolute integral part of this team, as is Stacy and John Kippen.
John's saying Greg
Greg Gleason is involved.
Just talking to Greg makes you a better magician, I think. He knows so many
I think he's one of the most underrated of the world. I'll call him a grandmaster. I mean, I'm not going to miss
just one of those guys that's out there working at the highest level for his entire life. Tens of thousands.
And he's unlike most illusionists, and this is not a diss by any means.
Yeah.
He's an extraordinary close-up artist.
Yeah, he's doing an hour with a deck of cards on a cruise ship.
Right, and we were just at 4F together. I brought him into the 4F convention, and he knocked it out of the park. You know, people are like, oh my God, I thought you were just an illusionist. And Greg showed him otherwise.
I had his coin routine quantum out the other day. That thing is brilliant. Quantum. Anyway,
extraordinary.
We're off the train tracks and going later here. What else? I wanted to give the chat a chance to ask some questions. There is one here from Keith Wolf. He wants to know what's your favorite product you've created.
Oh, well, cloaking device.
The cloaking
device. I mean, I developed the original concept for the D-Light, which became, millions of those created.
So you had a light and a thumb tip, essentially?
I was the originator of light and thumb tip.
How sour is that?
I showed it to Rocco in 1985 in Paris. I showed it to Juan Mayerel. Rocco and I were developing the D-Light together, and then all of a sudden it got released without my name on it.
Oh, baby.
So to this name, Rocco admits that he should have given me credit.
We're setting the record straight today.
Oh yeah, no, I mean,
he
absolutely. And I'm not. I mean,
let me thank you for that, because I love the freaking
Rocco and I are friends. I don't want to put in any context. But even now, he still goes, I should have given you credit, and I should have given you a percentage of sales. That's where we're at.
All right.
But literally, what's funny about that point is that I never licensed that effect to anyone. I still own the license to light and thumb tips.
Yeah.
That's what's very odd.
Well,
you talk about
magic.
Right.
What's the cloaking device?
The cloak. Okay. I developed the diamond silks. I developed every time you see a thumb tip streamer, that was my idea. So a lot of these what have become mainstream ideas now.
Yeah.
I developed the original. I did a lot of work, advanced thumb tip handling, which still
you have the Eclipse tip, which I know we have. You have a lot of work with that thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it has to do with thumb tip handling in general. But the cloaking device gets to the idea of the Sonata gimmick.
Okay.
The principle of that, which then I began running with and developing. So about 25 years ago, I created the cloaking device, which is the Sonata finger shell with a pocket. And
all right.
Even now with this brand new sequence of shows, I'm using 2 or 3 of those on stage. No one sees them, of course. And then 3 of them in my new close-up act. And never the same. It's just this true utility device. So that is the brief answer to that question.
Now you're also pretty renowned for your Toppet work, if I'm not mistaken.
And I'm on my 6th generation of Toppet design. And
now is that information
the
that's available to the magic community in the modern age? Like if someone wanted to learn your Toppet techniques,
I have a bunch. Over the lockdowns, I produced about 60 digital downloads.
Okay.
Full HD, full professional.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
And I have all of those available as individual or as a package. And there's 3 of them on top. It's 3 on ring and ribbon, probably about 20 effects using versions of a cloaking device.
Man, I love this.
The best work you will ever see on reel and silk are literally the top.
I want all of this. How do I get this in my life?
Yeah, message me on Facebook, email me, whatever. These are all I stopped
it's not like
selling off.
You're not pimping it out these days, right?
No, because I pulled all back. Again, I'm focusing on performing.
Yeah.
So you don't. I've pulled my shop, so you speak, off my website and such. Partly because I don't want an agent going to my shop. So I'm selling my show, and then it's just it's just putting it.
In some respects, that makes the information even more valuable.
Right. So you can easily get it from me. I'm very accessible on the Instagram or Facebook. I often do just quick little, transactions. PayPal be the money. The digital downloads are accessible just via Google Drive. So it takes a few minutes to get access to those.
I didn't put all those links in there, but I bet if you go to J. Scott Berry, there's a way to find a contact.
If you go to my exactly, and there's the connection
there we go. There's all the Facebooks and the Instagrams and the emails.
It's a very well set up website. So real clean. I need to put the new photos up, but we'll get those from Ty.
All right, cool.
So, to just shout out again to Stacy. We've spent the last week in pretty intense training and rehearsing and getting to know each other as performers.
I've hung with Stacy a few times, enjoyed every time I've been in the same space with her.
There's no accident that I chose her to be part of this.
Yeah.
And I saw how rock solid she was as a performer when we performed back in April. I wanted someone I could hand the mic to and go backstage to change, and that wouldn't crash the show.
Yeah.
And boy, she jumps on stage and boom, it's high energy, strong magic. So I'm really looking forward to developing this dynamic on stage with her. Because we'll play off each other. We got the Rhett Butler, Scarlett O'Hara kind of dynamic. I told her, I said, think My Fair Lady.
Okay.
She gets to play this young, it's a play. It's theater.
Love it.
So we get this very fun dynamic of literally playing off each other. Cool. Yeah. So, and Ty saw that. Yeah, Ty sort of watched this develop even over the last week. And so she's ready to be brought into the big leagues. Yeah. And I realize that. So I'm helping her level up. That's what I'm saying. Let's level you up, get you recognized for your genuine talent.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah.
All right. So
any other questions?
I don't think so.
All right, man.
I think we're good. Like you're going to do the Las Vegas Magic Luncheon after this. Like once a month, Elliot Hitchcock throws down, and I know it blank. You blank. It's gonna be in about 5 minutes. It'll be 2026.
We got a few more minutes here.
If you are in Las Vegas and not familiar with the Las Vegas Magic Luncheon, you got about an hour to figure out where that goes down.
It's at the Blueberry Cafe.
It's a great time. I did this event a few months ago. Yeah. Wonderful group of magicians. A lot of professionals are there, and then you get to learn from pros. You'll be there with Caleb Alexander today, I think, who is
another top
local young pro.
So on my Facebook page, which is public, so you don't have to be my friend. Yeah. I've got this right there. There's the that jumps to the mini documentary that Ty Hart produced. And that's the first of, I'm sure will be years and years of a series. Alan Ackerman has agreed to do the next one. Greg Gleason will certainly, we'll get Mondre on there. We'll get Jason Byrne. We'll get, so that level of, so Ty will be actively doing that in addition to the
Ty. You should come talk to me and
come on the session. Absolutely, let's get Ty in here.
What you're doing,
Mickey Silver, another one, just top guys. Mickey Silver's on our team.
Y'all all come.
Message me and connect with me on there. But it's the Magic Luncheon starts in about an hour here in Las Vegas.
Yeah. Well, look, last time I went to that, I was late because I didn't plan properly. So we're going to end this stream. I'm going to echo the sentiments of Scott Link and Tim Askin and all the other Kindred Spirits saying thanks, Jay. Thanks, Jay. It was a great episode.
My pleasure. Thanks,
Man,
everyone.
No, what a great ball of energy today. We all learned a lot, and I'll be looking forward to being at the Ahern later this month.
World premiere, July 31st.
I'm there, man.
Man,
I'm there.
it's going to be a party.
Y'all know about it, and I'll talk more about it after that happens. But it's going to be a wrap for today. And again, thank you, J. Scott Berry.
Awesome.
Break a leg, and we'll see you later this month.
Thank you. And thanks to everyone on my team. I really, yeah.
No doubt. And y'all go get a team. Really. Find your team and make yourself gooder. And I need a team. I'm going to go find mine now.
Yeah.
Ciao, folks.
Ciao.
See you next week. Au revoir.